Welcome back to our whiskey tasting series. This is number 5, and as promised we are going to head straight for Islay. Today is Mr. Cask Laphroaig. This is a young one. Exactly how many years is usually not given out in these. Laphroaig Cask revives the lost art of using smaller aging barrels to create more intense maturation through greater contact with the oak. As part of a double maturation process, this creates a soft sweetness to perfectly complement Laphroaig's signature peatiness. Please note that any cloudiness when mixed with water is normal for a whiskey that hasn't been chill filtered, but instead barrier filtered only, the method used when the Cask was king. So we will get into the chill filtering in another series, but basically it's just a process of getting rid of some of the thicker oils, because the oils will go cloudy when you chill it or when it goes cold. So ideally they are not chill filtered, because it means that all the taste and all the oils are retained, but that's another story. It kind of goes back to the old ice in the whiskey one. So actually the Cask is, except for the older Laphroaigs, this is probably one of my favorites. And for the Outlander fans out there, the Cask is, I believe, also Sam Heughan's, I wouldn't say favorite, but recommended Laphroaigs. So yeah, worth a try. To me it's quite different from the Laphroaig 10. It's a much rounder, fuller one. Obviously being Laphroaig, it's quite a peaty one. Love these old bottles, they just look brilliant. And what we'll do is we'll go straight into it. Slange. There's a distinct Laphroaigness to this one. In my opinion, it's the 10, but better. It's got a little bit of Ardbeginess to it, because it's got a bit more sweetness to it. It's got that same peatiness at the back of the taste. What I like about this, as well as the Uigeadail, which is most likely going to be the next one, is that it stays. You know, you can go do your tasting at the distillery, walk out, you know, and 20 minutes later you can still taste that sweet, kind of spicy peatiness in the back. You can taste a bit of sea saltiness. You can taste all these wonderful things from this. This is probably, from a core range kind of perspective, one of my favorite Laphroaigs. Now I did a quick Google, and the first thing I found was a tweet from Sam Heughan recommending the Laphroaig Cask or the Lagavulin 16. I think they're quite different whiskies, but the Cask and the Laphroaig 16 are both perfect recommendations. The Whisky Exchange says this following: a vibrant young Laphroaig whose maturation has been speeded up by aging in casks. This shows soft sweetness and velvety feel when first tasted. Then the intense peatiness so unique to Laphroaig. So price wise, yeah, anywhere between 30 and 35. That is one hell of a good price for a whiskey of this quality. To me, it's the same reason why I love the Uigeadail so much. Uigeadail is a bit more expensive, but this is an absolute brilliant whiskey in my opinion, especially for the kind of higher peaty ones. Still very palatable, I think, for maybe the novice. So I wouldn't say an entry level for somebody who wants to try the peaty whiskies. This is probably not your first go-to, but it isn't a bad one to try. Maybe it's worth it. So the other interesting thing about this one is it's quite a high alcohol content. So that's 48% alcohol. So that is 96 proof, if I've got it right. So it's it's quite a strong one, but it is such a smooth finish that you don't really taste it. And with the higher kind of alcohol ones, it is worth giving a wee drop of water to see what happens. It smooths it down. It takes away too much of the peatiness, in my opinion, if you put water in. For me personally, I wouldn't put water in this. No. So this goes back to this one is 48%. So that's not cask strength. That has been watered down to 48%. So maybe a bit of additional info to one of our previous videos where we talk about the different whiskies, and also it actually goes in tandem with should you put water in or not, and ice and all that kind of stuff. The taste, you'll notice a lot more whiskies nowadays, even down to the core ranges, are not 40%. That means it's not just about money. They didn't just try and get the most whiskey in a bottle by putting water in it and going to that 40%. You'll see a lot of whiskies that are now 43, 42, 46, 48, somewhere in that range. And the way it was explained to me was that the amount of water you put in obviously allows you to get to a specific taste balance within the whiskey. So less water, different taste, more water, different taste. So it seems to me like they put water into that amount that they wanted and not compromised with trying to get more whiskey into bottles by adding more water. You can see that quite often. I think the Murray is the same. The Murray is 56. Well, that's probably more cask strength. Yeah, here's a classic. This is the Benromach Organic, and it is 43%. So it's an odd percentage, so like out of the blue, 43%. But if the blenders go in and you know, get their barrels out and mix that specific organic that they want, or the quarter cask, the idea that they're mixing the stuff together and then adding just the right amount of water to get that taste will make sense for them to be that specific percentage and not 40 or cask strength. So something to keep in mind. Anyway, I'm going to finish my dram. I'm wondering if we should do some flavor matchings with these, with chocolates and stuff. That's a good idea. Anyway, the quarter cask is a great whiskey. If you can get it, buy it. Very peaty, but extremely drinkable. And what I like about the Laphroaigs and the Ardbeg so much is that they stay. You know, if you really like the whiskey, you just had your dram, you know, you can walk away and it just stays there with you all the time. So, wonderful whiskey, and that is it for episode 5. Thank you very much.